Boss fired me for being pregnant. I'm the one who gets paid in the end. I posted one of the emails she sent in our anti-work and they mentioned I should tell the full story here. To see the photos, click the link below. This last year during COVID had been a tough year for my family. My husband went from 6 figures supporting our family on his salary alone while we pocketed my entire salary to losing his job for 8 months. I work in political campaigning, which means I work on short-term contracts as an independent contractor. In other words, if we lose an election, I move on to the next race. I made a pretty good name for myself working on the lower levels of a campaign and moving up quickly. In my state this year there were statewide elections and I caught a lucky break and ended up the campaign manager on a statewide race. I am the youngest CM 24F to run a statewide race in about the last 20 years. When the primary came up, we lost the election by 200 votes. While we lost the campaign, coming so close to winning and my age made me kind of a superstar in my field. After we lost, I had offers from all over the state for jobs. The problem is I had just bought a house and wasn't looking to relocate, like you often have to do in politics, or the positions weren't high enough coming off being the top dog as the higher positions were already filled. I got an offer to join a local campaign, so no relocation, but the salary was lower than what I was used to. I would, however, be the CM again. However, I learned quickly my boss had a holier-than-thou personality. She made several comments about how real women breastfeed and have natural births. I would later be able to do neither, and it really screwed with my emotional well-being. I don't have time to list all the red flags, but I was literally just waiting until my husband got a job to exit. The campaign hadn't been built out at all. There was no one other than the candidate. I ended up building out our entire team, consultant, fundraiser, staff, etc. Luckily I have made a lot of powerful connections in my time. I signed my contract and sent it in with the salary we had agreed on, with the stipulation that if we raised enough money 3 months down the line my salary would be raised but could not be lowered at any point. Just a few weeks prior I had also found out that I was pregnant and my due date was the week of the election, and just a week after joining the campaign I was also in a serious car accident. Luckily my pregnancy was safe, but I herniated a disc in the car accident, and due to my pregnancy there were very few things that could be done as far as helping my back or pain management. If I did my job right, that shouldn't be an issue because my job can essentially be handled from home and staff could do the rest. I had the team working in lockstep and I was proud of the work I was doing, even though only about 10% of my views aligned with the campaign. Then we hit a snag. The candidate's husband got deployed to a rather dangerous place for a month and she completely checked out. She stopped fundraising, which means that everything comes to a halt in campaigning. She stopped putting in the legwork to win. We also lost our only lower staff member during this time. We knew she was worried about her husband, so no one on the team tried to push back very hard. Eventually her husband came back and it was go time. There wasn't a minute to waste and I was back to getting our operation working full speed. One day she calls me up to tell me how 20 years ago her first job as a private school teacher was making as much money as I was now. I also live in an expensive DC suburb, not the backwoods where she grew up. I have multiple college degrees and this job offers no benefits, unlike teaching. Not comparable at all. This is when I realized there might be a problem. A couple weeks later, I told her I would need to take a step back from doing the other staff member's job, mostly door knocking, because of my injured back, but that we would hire someone. Unfortunately, due to the lack fundraising, it made it hard to pay anyone else and those duties fell on her. CMs do not typically door knock. We had a team meeting with the entire team and I started pressuring the candidate about all the things she wasn't doing, and there was a legitimate meltdown. She started yelling at me about how I wasn't doing my job and my pregnancy wasn't her problem and how I was the reason everything was failing, and then hung up on the entire team. This is where the malicious compliance comes in. After this I decided to take a step back from doing all the duties that are typically handled by lower level staff and just focused on doing my job duties, which weren't being appreciated. I pretty much went radio silent and she kept nitpicking at everything. Everyone on the campaign started to grow uneasy, but I told him to just hold out. Well, sure enough, she calls me up and says, since you are pregnant and can no longer door knock, you can either work for state minimum wage, or you can find a new job. Mind you, she knew my husband had been out of work for 8 months and thought I had no options at this point, but what she didn't know is that my husband had gotten a job offer that exact day. So I stopped her right there and thanked her for the opportunity and told her I would be working my contractually obligated 30-day notice at my current salary and then leaving the campaign. She then began to scream at me about how she wasn't paying me a dime more and started listing off a list of issues she had with the way I was doing my job. I stopped her, thanked her once again and told her all of my finishing tasks would be completed when I received payment for the last month I worked. Yes, she was a month behind on paying me, as well as payment for the 30-day notice that she was legally required to pay me whether I continued working or not. I waited a few hours and she never finalized my termination in writing, so I sent her a termination letter thanking her for the opportunity and once again repeating everything we had discussed on the phone. She sent me a nasty email again reiterating that I wouldn't be paid for the previous month or 30 days and listed about 10 things that I had done to be terminated, including that I didn't wear makeup to work every day. I decided to send this email to the rest of the team and sure enough everyone quit except for the consultant. In 5 minutes she lost everyone she had. Then a friend of mine offered me my dream job working for him, so all in all it worked out in my favor within 5 minutes of being fired. Well, here where things get tricky. I realize that my contract that obligates her to pay me for the 30 days notice isn't signed and I'm screwed. Well, sure enough, in her fit of rage she starts emailing everyone talking badly about me. The only problem is I still have access to the campaign email and I'm seeing every email she is sending. Emails saying that she wants to keep me on staff but that I need to take less money, and that I shouldn't have been dishonest about my pregnancy, so clearly I wasn't doing my job that badly, she just wanted to pay a pregnant woman less. She also asks the consultant for a list of things that I did wrong on the campaign so that she will have cause not to pay me my contract. I notice that the consultant never replies to this email. He tells her that if she wants to fight it to send him a copy of the contract and he will have a lawyer take a look at it. Well, sure enough she sends him a signed copy of the contract and once again my contract is valid and she now has to pay me my severance. She has given me every piece of ammunition I need to get paid at this point, as well as wage a discrimination suit for referencing my pregnancy as a reason for termination. I hire a lawyer. She continues to pester me about turning over all of my work. The thing is, since I'm an independent contractor I only owe her a final product if I get paid. I reiterate that she isn't getting anything until I've been paid and she can take it up with my lawyer. She begins slandering me to everyone I know and continuing to send emails about me that I'm just collecting. She then starts calling every friend she has to bully me into giving her what she wants. My response to all of them is, talk to my lawyer. In one final ditch effort she has the consultant call me begging me to turn over the stuff. The problem is that the consultant and I are personal friends and he's really unhappy working for her but has contractual obligations. I tell him to tell her the same thing, talk to my lawyer. 5 minutes later I get a call back from him saying that she has fired him because he refused to throw me under the bus and make up excuses for my termination when he believes I was wrongfully terminated. She fires him too and now he's out of his obligations. He also tells me that the lawyer she sent the contract over to said to pay me. In a matter of 2 weeks she is once again at square one with no one on her side. She is out of money and struggling. She finally emails me at 11 p.m. that she is willing to pay me. It's nighttime and I don't work for her anymore, so I decide I don't need to respond at that moment. Well, she starts calling me incessantly and texting me, all of which I'm ignoring. By the time I wake up in the morning I have 20 texts and 5 missed calls. I tell her that I will need to talk to my lawyer at this point and I'll get back to her after he responds. Well, she goes nuclear. 20 minutes later I get a call from the police. She is claiming I have been embezzling campaign funds and stealing her data. I have to get my lawyer on the phone and explain the whole situation and why this is a bullshit claim. I offer the bank account information for the funds she claimed I stole and proved that they were sitting right there in her account. She just doesn't know how to access them because I'm usually the one who does that. The police officer thinks she is nuts at this point, because she is, but then informs her that it considered larceny to withhold my pay and asks me if I would like to press charges. I say, if she refused to pay then yes. Within 2 days I received a check in the mail with my payment and I turned everything over. The funny thing is that my 30-day notice pay was actually more money than if I had finished out the contract with the reduced pay she wanted to pay me. I got an extra $700 and didn't have to work for her for the remainder of the time. She ended up losing her election in a swing district by 15 points. Edit. For those of you wondering, I left campaigning and will never go back. If you want to hear my thought on politicians, check out the link posted above. I am not proud of my job nor did I love it, but a girl's gotta eat and good luck finding a company to work in America for that isn't at the very least morally questionable. Edit 2. Thanks for all the upvotes and awards, guys. I didn't think it would get this much attention. I'm just tired of women being treated like they can't be good employees and moms. On the plus side, more people have upvoted this post than voted for her on election day. The saddest part of this story is how the candidate is clearly not qualified to hold an elected job as a window washer and still only lost by 15 points. So you're still suing her for firing you for being pregnant, right? Made my afternoon. That was juicy. Each new paragraph telling us what else was she doing, emailing or calling. I was thinking, yeah, thanks, add it to the evidence pile. Just a small tip, the black marker used to cover the names still allows you to read some names. If only all politicians could be afforded the opportunity to lose their campaign from their own merit. Losing her election in a swing district by 15 points. In other words, she lost 42% versus 58%. Meaning even with all that toxic behavior, 42% of the electorate wanted her to represent them. This is one of the best malicious compliance stories I have ever been blessed with. Bless you and your family. Great, you got what you're owed. But this person needs to be taken down harder. Bare minimum pay for your lawyer. Best case absolutely ruined. You. Well-known rock star of a campaign manager. Her. Local politician who slandered you to everybody she could contact. I wonder who has a future in politics. After the first meltdown, I was thinking is it even a real campaign if the candidate hasn't totally lost their shit on the CM over a problem of their own creation, but then she kept going GGG. Brutal, but glad to hear it all worked out. I'm sorry all of this happened to you, but this is so satisfying to read. Working for politicians. That's a hard no for me. I'm happy you made it work for you. How's the baby doing? This is what happens when a person who has gone through life bullying everyone and never getting stood up to, runs into someone who they have zero leverage over and is smarter than them. Well done. You've given enough detail in the post that someone who wanted to do a couple of hours legwork could find out who you are. Might want to edit the post to remove some of the more specific details. My boss fired me for being pregnant too. I also won the lawsuit. Let me guess, Republican. Working your hardest to get shitty politicians whose ideas you don't even believe in elected. What a disgusting, very American business. I wanted to address the obvious elephant in the room. So how is the newborn? Well, sure enough, she sends him a signed copy of the contract, and once again my contract is valid. I almost can't even read further because this is so good. I get that you can't drop her name here, but damn, I want to know who this politician is so we can really lay down some heat on her. Him as an independent contractor, can you still file for wrongful termination due to pregnancy though? Where I am, self-employed people won't have this right since by definition the relationship isn't one between employer and salaried employee. Sounds like this person wasn't ready for a political career. Not the op, but the candidate. Made my day. I'm annoyed that a woman was mistreating another woman. Good for you. 30 days notice because lots of work has to be done. I'm still surprised 1 month notice isn't standard in the US. Glad it worked out for you though. She sounds like a right bitch. Super proud of you. Boo throwing kisses, hope you and baby are doing fine. Like for the compliance, what the fuck for the I love my job of helping people of questionable character take public offices. What happened to your consultant friend? Why would you campaign for someone whose policies you don't believe in? As much as I hate this, pregnancy is actually considered a disability under federal law. Hopefully you kept the email so if they run again, you can share it with the competition and really screw them. You should have sold your data to the other party, for equal measure. I'd be a little careful about admitting to reading the email she sent. If it's the office group email you're probably fine, since you still worked for her, but if it was her personal account it might be problematic. Politics. So dirty. Need to cross-post to pro-revenge. Politicians are scum. Sounds like you are doing God's work keeping shitty people out of office. I'm in the military and we are proof positive that women can be great moms and employees. Anyone who thinks different needs to come back from the 1940s. I lost it at her reprimanding you for not wearing makeup. Don't even get me started on the pregnancy. That's sexual discrimination. She would not chide a male for not wearing makeup. You should have filed a suit against her for slander and harassment. The slander is proven in the emails, and the harassment is proven in the call logs even after you told her to speak to your lawyer. Ruin her. She really deserved it. Why the hell do people never press charges? God damn it, these people need to get what they deserve. 15 points. Sounds like she never had a chance in the first place. Saw your original post on OR yesterday, the whole story is so much juicier. OP should feel good that they didn't end up helping a shitty person excel further in life. This is incredible. You are a saint. Oof. IDK how your system works, but from the comments, 15 points ISNT a lot. So if the electorate or whatever she's called had have kept you, she probably would have won. Which is outstanding considering you didn't really do much, or did you? Can't really tell from this post. This is literal gold. Absolutely gold. IDK if Reddit's got algorithms for posts with a lot of comments, but take this one so more people can see this post. GOOOOLDDD. Literally a MOU, not the asshole IN of gold. I'm sure you're not like her, but I got sudden flashbacks to Jennifer Barkley from Parks and Rec, the only reference I have of a campaign manager lol. I'm glad you and your baby is doing well now. Wow. It sounds like a political operative is the very last person you would want to fire for the wrong reasons. You handled this so well, I usually melt into a puddle of goo at any kind of conflict. You should sue her too, she deserves to pay more for breaking the law and you have more than enough evidence. Love this. Also I too worked in politics for a short period, you're right 99% of them are wretched people. One friend from college was thrilled to get hired onto a campaign only to quickly discover the candidate wasn't someone he would actually vote for let alone help get elected. Sounds like you did too. Sorry,